The jungle was silent, too silent. The red sky burned above the thick alien forest, where the air shimmered with heat and danger. Strange birds with metallic wings screamed in the distance, then went quiet again, as if the whole world was holding its breath. In that silence, 5 alien huntresses moved through the fog. Their silver armor glowed faintly. Each of them carried a long spear made of black bone. They were warriors of the Zha'kari tribe, known across the galaxy for never missing their prey. Their leader, Carix, stopped suddenly. Her eyes narrowed as she crouched to the ground. There were footprints in the mud, but not the kind she expected. "Too wide, too heavy," she whispered. "Not a beast, not one of us." The others looked at each other in confusion. Something was here, something that didn't belong to this planet. Then they found the first trap. A crude, mechanical snare made from alien vines and old metal parts. It looked primitive, yet perfectly placed. Whoever built it knew how to hunt. Carix studied it closely. "This isn't Zha'kari work. This is human." The name fell like thunder among them. Humans, the lost warriors of a dead world. No human had been seen in years. Most believed they were extinct after the Galactic War. But now, there was proof. Suddenly, one of the huntresses, Vera, froze. She sensed movement. Her eyes darted toward the trees. Something was there, watching. A flicker of motion, and then a sound, faint but sharp, like a blade cutting air. Vera shouted, but before anyone could react, she was gone. Just gone. Her spear dropped to the ground, spinning slowly in the dirt. Carix raised her hand, signaling silence. The huntresses formed a circle, weapons ready, scanning the shadows. The jungle watched them back. Then, from behind a fallen tree, a faint red light blinked once. A visor, a human visor. He was there, the ghost they had been chasing. Carix's heart pounded. She could see him now. Tall, armored, moving like a shadow. His armor was scarred, his movements calm, quiet, patient. The kind of patience only a true hunter had. And then, he was gone again. They moved forward slowly. Every sound, every breath seemed loud enough to give them away. Another scream cut through the fog. Another huntress gone. Carix cursed under her breath. "He's picking us off, one by one." This was no ordinary prey. This was a predator who understood the hunt better than they did. Carix's mind raced. How was a human, alone, stranded, forgotten, outsmarting trained alien killers? She crouched again and touched the ground. The dirt was warm. He had been here, moments ago, watching them. She felt something deep inside, not fear, but respect. For the first time in her life, Carix realized what it felt like to be on the other side of the hunt. A whisper came through the comms of the fallen huntress, her dying breath. He doesn't hunt for food. He hunts to test us." The signal went dead. The last 2 huntresses looked at Carix with fear in their eyes. "What do we do, Commander?" Carix stood tall, her voice calm but heavy. "We finish the hunt." They spread out. The forest swallowed them again. Minutes passed. Nothing moved. Nothing breathed. And then, something brushed past Carix's shoulder. A shadow. She turned, fast, but saw only empty mist. She fired her weapon. Nothing. Silence again. Then a voice, deep and cold, came from the fog. "You shouldn't have come here." Carix spun around. The human stood 10 feet away, half covered in dirt and blood, his eyes hidden behind a cracked visor. He looked tired, but unbroken. "You hunt me," he said quietly, "but you don't understand what you're chasing." Carix didn't answer. She raised her spear, but the human didn't move it. He simply looked at her, the way a lion looks at another predator. Then, slowly, he turned and disappeared back into the mist. Carix lowered her weapon. Her chest rose and fell as she tried to understand what she had just witnessed. She had faced monsters. She had faced machines, but never a being like this. Her remaining warriors gathered beside her, trembling. "Commander," one whispered. "What was that?" Carix looked at the spot where the human had vanished. She could still feel his presence, the quiet strength, the sharp instinct, the calm confidence of a perfect hunter. She whispered, almost to herself, "A hunter like that deserves to pass on his genes." The others looked at her, not understanding. But she did. She understood completely. Because for the first time in her life, she had seen a creature not driven by bloodlust or pride, but by purpose. And that purpose had changed everything she believed about strength. The jungle was silent again. The fog settled. The night creatures began to sing once more. But somewhere, out in that endless red forest, a human was watching, planning his next move. Carix stared into the mist and smiled softly. "Let's hunt again." And before we go deeper into this story, if you're enjoying it, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because what comes next will change everything you thought about humans and hunters. The hunt had only just begun. The morning light crept slowly through the alien jungle, painting everything in shades of crimson and gold. Steam rose from the ground, and strange insects sang in the mist. But the Zha'kari camp was silent. Carix sat by the fire, sharpening her blade, her eyes unfocused. The others were gone, her huntresses, her sisters, all taken by that human ghost. She wasn't mourning, not yet. She was thinking. Who was he? How could a human, alone, starving, hunted, outsmart the finest predators in the galaxy? The fire cracked. Her reflection in the blade looked back at her, and behind it, she saw his eyes, cold, focused, calculating. She stood up. "He's testing us," she whispered. "He's not just hunting. He's learning." Carix turned off her tracker. No more tech, no more signals. If he wanted to play this ancient game, she would play it his way. Far away, the human, Rex, crouched atop a massive branch, watching her through a cracked visor. His face was scarred, his beard rough. His armor, once bright and metallic, was now patched with alien leather and bone. He had learned their ways. He had learned their silence. But he never forgot why he was still alive. For Rex, survival wasn't instinct anymore. It was art. He watched Carix move through the camp, cautious, silent, scanning the air like a wolf sniffing danger. She was different from the others. Smarter, faster. She didn't panic. Rex respected that. He remembered Earth, the final evacuation, the screams, the fire. His ship had crashed here years ago, and nobody came back for him. The aliens had called him prey. But they never understood. Humans didn't evolve to be prey. They evolved to adapt. A faint noise snapped him out of his memory. Carix had stopped. She was holding a small object in her hand. A human dog tag. His dog tag. He smiled under his breath. "You found it," he whispered. "Good." He wanted her to. Because the real trap wasn't the tag. It was what she'd trigger next. She touched it, and suddenly the ground beneath her feet hissed. Smoke burst up, thick and blinding. From the trees, something swung down, a metal cage snapping shut around her. But Carix was faster than he expected. She rolled aside, barely escaping, her armor sparking as she landed. She looked up, saw him standing above her in the trees, just watching. Their eyes met. Predator and predator. He didn't speak. He just tilted his head, a gesture that almost said, "Try again." Then he was gone. Carix exhaled slowly. For a moment, she almost smiled. "So, you want a real hunt," she said softly. Her voice carried through the jungle like a challenge. "Then come find me, human." She began to move again, this time not like prey, but like someone who understood the rhythm of the chase. Every step measured, every sound calculated. She was the hunter once more. But what she didn't know was that Rex had already set the board. He had mapped this jungle for months. Every trap, every pit, every vantage point. He didn't need to chase her. She was already inside his web. He watched from a distance, whispering to himself, "Let's see if you can dance." Hours passed. The jungle grew darker. Alien moons rose above the trees, glowing like twin eyes. Carix stopped near an ancient stone ruin half buried in vines. It felt wrong here. Quiet. Too quiet. She raised her spear. "Show yourself, human," she called. "Or are you only brave when we cannot see you?" No answer. She turned and froze. A faint red dot rested on her chest. Her heart jumped. A weapon. A human's ranged weapon. Something she hadn't seen since the war. She dove behind the stone wall just as a bolt of energy sliced through the air, burning through her armor. He was close now. The forest erupted into chaos. Birds screamed and fled. Energy bolts flashed. Carix rolled, threw a spear, missed. Rex appeared through the mist, calm, steady, his weapon low and silent. He fired once more. The shot hit the wall beside her. She jumped from cover, charging straight at him, roaring. He didn't run. He dropped the gun. He wanted this fight up close. Her spear clashed against his blade. Sparks lit up the night. Each strike was fast, brutal. She was stronger, but he was faster. He used her weight against her, spinning, ducking, moving like smoke. She tried to sweep his legs. He stepped back, disarmed her, then let her grab it again. He wasn't fighting to kill her. He was fighting to test her. And she realized it. "You're holding back," she hissed. Rex's voice was quiet. "So are you." They clashed again, and this time, Carix landed a cut across his shoulder. He grunted, but smiled faintly. The blood didn't slow him down. They circled each other. The air between them shimmered with heat and tension. "Why are you here?" she demanded. Rex looked up at the alien stars. "Because your people came for me first." "Then kill me," she said. "End it." He shook his head. "You don't kill what you respect." She stared at him, confused, angry, intrigued. "Respect? You slaughtered my sisters." He looked down. "They hunted me like animals. I gave them what they asked for." Silence again. The jungle whispered around them. Then, for the first time, Carix saw something in his eyes. Sorrow. Deep, quiet, human sorrow. She lowered her spear. "You're not just a hunter. You're something else." Rex didn't answer. He turned and melted into the forest once more. Carix stood there, breathing hard, staring after him. She touched the cut on her armor, felt the heat still burning from his weapon. He could have killed me, she whispered. Why didn't he? The jungle gave no answer. Only the wind moved, carrying the faint echo of a human's voice through the trees. This isn't over. And far above, in the dark skies of the alien world, unseen ships began to move. Someone else had been watching the hunt. Someone far more dangerous than either of them. The hunt was no longer between predator and prey. It was about to become a war. The storm rolled across the alien sky like a beast made of thunder. Bolts of blue lightning tore through the clouds, lighting up the jungle below. And in that light, shadows danced. One human, one alien queen, and something else, watching both from the dark. Carix stood on the cliffs above the forest, her armor dented, her eyes burning with purpose. She had hunted many beings in her life, beasts, soldiers, even traitors among her own kind, but never had she felt this. Not hatred, not fear. Something far more dangerous. She turned her gaze to the jungle below. He's still out there, she murmured, still testing me. Behind her, a hologram flickered to life. The towering figure of the alien queen, cloaked in golden armor, her voice like thunder in Carix's mind. You failed to bring the creature, the queen said coldly. Carix knelt on one knee. He is no creature, my queen. He is something else. The queen's eyes narrowed. Explain. Carix hesitated. How could she explain what she had seen? The human's calm, his precision, the strange mercy in his eyes. No Zha'kari warrior ever spared a kill. But he did. She looked up. He hunts without hunger, kills without rage. He moves like he has already seen the end of every battle. The queen tilted her head slightly, intrigued. A philosopher among prey? How amusing. Carix clenched her jaw. He is no prey. That caught the queen's attention. For the first time, a small smile touched her lips. Then I shall see for myself. The hologram vanished. Carix's stomach tightened. The queen was coming. The strongest of them all, the master of every hunt. And the human didn't even know it yet. Far below, Rex knelt by a small stream, washing blood from his blade. His reflection stared back, tired eyes, cracked armor, and a quiet fire that refused to die. He had felt their eyes all day, the drones in the trees, the soft hum of alien surveillance. He knew they were watching. He looked up at the storm rolling overhead. So, you're sending your queen now, he whispered. Good, I was getting bored. He wiped his blade clean and stood, every movement precise, deliberate. His traps were already set. The forest itself had become his ally. Roots, vines, and shadows obeyed him now. The rain began to fall, thick and heavy, washing away the scent of death. But for Rex, it only sharpened the silence. Every droplet was a warning. Every gust of wind caught the heart. Ride meaning. And then he felt it, a tremor. Not from the storm, from the ground itself. Something massive was approaching. The queen landed in the clearing with a crash of thunder. Her armor gleamed with alien light, wings folding behind her like blades of crystal. She was taller than Rex, faster, stronger. Everything about her screamed power. But Rex didn't move. He watched from the shadows, studying her posture, the way her tail cut through the mud like a scythe, the rhythm of her breathing. She wasn't reckless. She was perfectly in control. Human, her voice echoed through the jungle. You have taken my huntresses. You have mocked my name. You stand alone, and yet you are not afraid. Rex stepped into the light, rain streaming off his armor. Fear wastes time. The Queen's lips curled into a grin. Good. You will make this interesting. Without another word, she lunged forward. The ground cracked beneath her feet. Rex barely dodged as her blade tail sliced through a tree like paper. He fired his rifle once. She deflected the bolt with her arm. The shot burned through her armor, but she didn't slow down. She was too fast, too strong. Rex rolled, ducked, set off a hidden mine. A flash of light burst between them. The Queen staggered, then laughed softly. You think toys will save you? Rex said nothing. He threw his blade instead. It spun through the rain, embedding deep into the trunk behind her. She turned. Too late. The blade triggered a shock field. Electricity exploded around her, throwing sparks across the clearing. For a moment, she fell to one knee, growling. Then, she smiled again. You learn quickly. Rex's visor cracked further, sparks flickering near his jaw. So do you. The air between them sizzled with tension. Not hatred. Something else. She rose, slow and graceful. You could have killed me, she said. Rex's reply was calm. You could have killed me too. A pause. Only the rain spoke for a while. Then the Queen stepped closer. You fight like us. No, better than us. How is that possible? Rex's eyes were cold. Because your people hunt for glory. Humans hunt for survival. That's the difference. The Queen studied him, her sharp gaze softening for just a breath. You have fire in you, and it burns without end. He didn't answer. She tilted her head. I see now why my huntresses failed. You are not prey. You are evolution itself. Rex took a step back, wary. If this is where you surrender. She laughed, interrupting him. Surrender? No, human. This is where the real hunt begins. Her body glowed as her armor plates shifted, revealing hidden weapons. The ground beneath them cracked as energy pulsed through the air. Rex's instincts screamed. He dove aside just as she unleashed a blast that tore a crater through the jungle. The shockwave hurled him into a tree, his vision blurred. He hit the ground hard. His body screamed in pain. The Queen approached slowly, each step deliberate. You see, human, even perfection has limits, and I am far beyond yours. Rex coughed, dragging himself up. Maybe. He smirked faintly. But you forgot something. She raised a brow. And what is that? Rex looked past her, at the old temple ruins behind her. You stepped inside my trap. A deep rumble answered him. The ruins came alive, buried explosives and kinetic mines hidden in the earth. The entire temple collapsed in a roar of fire and stone. The Queen was thrown into the air as the explosion lit up the sky. Rex shielded his face, the shockwave burning through the rain. When the smoke cleared, there was silence. Only falling ash. Only thunder. Then, movement. The Queen crawled out of the rubble, her armor shattered, her body bleeding silver light, and she was laughing. You magnificent creature, she breathed. You really are a hunter worthy of legend. Rex stood still, his weapon raised, but he didn't fire. He couldn't. There was something in her voice. Awe, not rage. For the first time, the Queen of the Zha'kari bowed her head slightly. A hunter like that, she whispered, deserves to pass on his genes. The jungle fell silent once more. The storm faded. The rain stopped. And above them, Unseen by both, a shadow moved across the clouds, a massive ship recording every second of their battle. The galaxy had just found its next legend. But legends always come with a cost. The Queen rose, smiling faintly through the pain. The hunt is not over, human. Rex wiped the blood from his mouth and nodded once. I never said it was. Lightning split the sky again, and the world held its breath for what came next. The night after the battle felt endless. The rain had stopped, but the jungle still trembled, as if the world itself feared what had happened under that storm. Smoke drifted across the ruined clearing. The old temple was nothing but broken stone and ash now. Somewhere inside that wreckage, the alien queen's shadow moved, slow, steady, alive. And somewhere beyond the hills, Rex watched her from the trees. His armor was cracked, his body ached, but his eyes still burned with purpose. He had seen that look before, in soldiers who refused to die. The Queen wasn't beaten. She was studying him, just like he was studying her. This wasn't over. High above the planet, the Zha'kari command ship hung like a silent moon. Inside, holograms flickered across a wide chamber, images of the human, the traps, the fight, the explosion. Alien commanders stood in silence, watching the recording in disbelief. This single human did all this? One hissed. Impossible, said another. No creature fights like that. Not even the Queen could. Enough! The Queen's voice echoed from the shadows as she entered the room, her armor scorched, but her stance proud. Her eyes glowed faintly as she looked at the screen. At him. Rex, the lone survivor, the hunter who had made gods bleed. She raised her hand. He lives. The room went silent. One of the generals dared to speak. My queen, we can send the fleet. We can erase him. She turned sharply. Erase him? Her voice was calm but carried danger. Do you erase a star because it burns too bright? The general froze. The Queen's gaze softened slightly as she watched the replay of their final fight. He is not prey. He is proof. Proof of what? Another asked quietly. That even the strongest must still evolve. She looked out the window at the red planet below. Bring me the human alive. Rex was already moving. He knew the drones would come. He had seen their patterns in the clouds before, silent, scanning, searching. He needed higher ground. The human climbed the cliffs at dawn, his breath steady despite the pain. His left arm was bandaged with torn cloth, his side bleeding where the Queen's blade had grazed him. But every drop of blood was a reminder he was still alive. At the cliff's edge, he built a small fire, just enough to warm his hands. He stared into the flames and spoke softly, almost to himself. You should have killed me, Queen. Now it's my turn to hunt. He opened a metal case beside him. Inside were scraps of alien tech, broken armor, shards of crystal, and pieces of her weapon. He had scavenged them during the chaos. Now he began to work. His fingers moved quickly, twisting wires, fusing circuits, carving shapes into the crystal. He was building something, not a weapon, not exactly, something that pulsed faintly with light. A signal. He would draw them to him. All of them. Because if they wanted the hunter, they would get him on his terms. Far below, Carix, the huntress who had first found him, stood in the shadow of the Queen's ship. She watched the preparations silently, Dozens of drop pods were being loaded, soldiers armed, scanners tuned to find the human's heat signature. But Carix's heart felt heavy. She had seen him up close. She had looked into his eyes and seen something no alien word could describe: the human fire. She remembered the moment she had whispered, "A hunter like that deserves to pass on his genes." She had meant it. And now her people wanted to destroy him. She clenched her fists. If the queen couldn't see what he truly was, maybe she wasn't fit to lead. That night, the drop pods fell from the sky like burning stars. Rex saw them streak across the clouds and smiled. "You took the bait." He pressed the trigger on the small device he'd built, and the jungle came alive. Explosions erupted one by one. Hidden charges he had buried days ago tore through the landing zones. The forest became a storm of fire and chaos. Alien soldiers scattered, shouting in their native tongue. But Rex wasn't among them. He was above, watching, waiting. One soldier broke formation, Carix. She moved differently from the rest. She didn't charge blindly or fire wildly. She was calm, scanning the shadows, her weapon low. Rex aimed at her through his scope, then stopped. He recognized her stance, her breathing, her composure. It was her, the one who had survived. He hesitated, just long enough for her to look straight at him through the trees. Their eyes met again. Carix lowered her weapon. "Human," she said softly through her translator. "They will not stop until you are dead." Rex stayed silent. "You can run," she continued, "but they will find you. The queen wants your blood." He finally spoke. "Then she'll have to earn it." Carix took a slow step forward. "You could leave. I can help you escape this world." Rex's voice was low. "You want me to run from my own hunt?" She shook her head. "No. I want you to survive." Lightning cracked in the distance. The sky turned blue for a moment, and in that flash, Rex saw movement behind her. A sniper drone aimed straight at her head. Without thinking, he fired first. The drone exploded in a burst of light. Carix spun, shocked, realizing what he had done. "You saved me," Rex reloaded calmly. "We're not enemies. Not yet." More drones appeared. The forest lit up with gunfire. The air screamed with energy bolts. Carix took cover beside him. For a brief second, hunter and human fought side by side, covering each other, moving in sync, silent but unstoppable. When the last drone fell, both were panting, soaked in rain and blood. Carix looked at him. "Why did you help me?" Rex glanced at her, voice rough. "Because you reminded me of someone." "Who?" He didn't answer. He just stared into the storm. "Someone who used to believe in mercy." She didn't know what that meant, but she felt the weight of it. And far above, on the ship, the queen watched through her sensors, eyes wide, almost human in their expression. She whispered to herself, half in awe, half in fear. "What are you becoming, human?" The answer would come soon. Because on that night, as fire rained through the jungle and old instincts clashed with new respect, something was born. A bond neither species had known before. But every bond has a price. And the galaxy was about to learn that when a human fights for survival, even gods can bleed. The jungle burned for 3 days. Smoke rose in dark columns that reached for the stars, and every creature that once called that forest home had fled into silence. But one figure moved through the ruins. Alone, steady, unbroken. Rex. His armor was blackened by ash, his breath slow and controlled. His visor flickered with faint light, scanning the smoldering horizon. Every step he took left a mark, not from weakness, but from purpose. He wasn't running anymore. He was drawing them in. Up in orbit, the Zha'kari Queen stood at the viewing deck of her ship. Her golden armor had been replaced with a combat mantle, light, deadly, ceremonial. Behind her, her advisors argued over strategy. "Your Majesty, the human has turned the jungle into a graveyard. Every drone we send is destroyed before it lands." "He is one, we are many," another said. "Let us end this with a full strike." The Queen didn't answer right away. Her eyes were fixed on the planet below, on the smoke rising like war banners. Finally, she spoke, her voice calm, yet filled with quiet fury. "No, you would not strike at a storm with sticks." She turned. "Send no more soldiers. This hunt belongs to me." Gasps filled the chamber. "Majesty, that is forbidden." The Queen silenced him with a single look. "He took my best. He defied my pride. Now I will see if he can defy death." Carix woke up to the crackle of fire and the smell of rain on iron. She was lying inside a small cave, her body aching. When she sat up, she saw him, the human, sitting at the entrance, his rifle across his knees, staring into the distance. "You're awake," he said quietly. Carix blinked. "You didn't leave me?" Rex didn't turn. Didn't have the heart to abandon another ghost. She frowned slightly. "Ghost?" He pointed to the horizon. "That's what we become, when the war never ends." For a moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the dripping water echoing in the cave. Finally, she said, "They will come for you, for both of us." He nodded. "I know." "Then why stay?" Rex looked at her with those cold, tired eyes. "Because running never ends the hunt. Facing it does." Carix studied him carefully. The scars, the quiet strength, the strange compassion hidden under all that steel. She couldn't decide if he was brilliant or insane. Maybe both. He finally stood, slinging his rifle across his back. "If you want to live, follow me. If not, then make your peace with the stars." Without another word, he stepped into the rain. Carix hesitated, then followed. The storm had returned. Lightning split the trees, thunder rolled across the valley, and between flashes of blue light, they saw movement, shadows, sleek and fast, circling them. Carix hissed softly. "Queen's Guard." Rex didn't slow down. "Expected them." The first guard dropped from the trees, spear glowing. Rex caught the strike with his blade and twisted, sending the alien crashing to the ground. Another came from behind. Carix spun, her spear slicing through armor and flesh. They fought together, moving like one mind split between two bodies. Human instinct, alien precision. But there were too many. Energy blasts scorched the air. A spear tore through Rex's shoulder, but he didn't flinch. He used the weapon still stuck in his flesh to impale the next attacker. Carix shouted his name. He didn't respond. Blood dripped into the mud, mixing red and silver together. When the last guard fell, the storm went quiet again. Carix rushed to him. "You're bleeding!" Rex tore the spear out with one hard motion. Not the first time. She tore part of her cloak and pressed it against his wound. You'll die if you don't stop moving. He smirked faintly. Then I'll move faster. Carix glared at him. You're impossible. Not impossible, he said, standing. Just human. Far above, the queen descended from her ship, landing near the ruins of the old temple. Her armor glowed faintly, repaired and reforged, elegant and lethal. Her expression was unreadable. Human, she whispered into the wind. You've earned my respect, but respect alone cannot save you. She began to walk. Every step left a crater in the mud. Every movement carried the promise of finality. This was not a hunt now. This was judgment. Rex and Carix reached the edge of the cliffs. Below them, the jungle spread wide and endless, glowing faintly with fire and stormlight. He stopped, scanning the horizon. His visor beeped once. A signal. Incoming. She's here, he said. Carix's eyes widened. The Queen herself, he nodded. I've been waiting for her. You can't fight her, not alone. Rex Lee looked at her, his expression unreadable. That's why you're not going to help me. What? You're leaving, now. I won't. You will, he said sharply, because if I fall, someone has to remember why this mattered. Carix's voice trembled. You think you're saving me? You're saving no one by dying. Rex smiled faintly. Then I'll just have to make dying look good. He handed her a small data chip, glowing blue, the last piece of human tech left in the galaxy. Take this, he said. It's what I've learned about your world and mine. Someday, maybe, it'll stop the next war before it starts. She hesitated, then took it. I'll come back, she whispered. He didn't answer. She turned and ran into the mist, and behind her the sky split open. The Queen descended in a storm of light and wind. Rex looked up at her, his weapon steady. Round 2, he muttered. The Queen smiled, her eyes burning gold. Round final, she said, and the storm swallowed them both. The jungle shook as their clash began. A war between two legends. Every strike lit the night. Every roar cracked the sky. From miles away, Carix stopped and looked back, tears in her eyes. She could see the light of the battle dancing in the clouds. And she whispered, trembling, a hunter like that doesn't just pass on his genes, he passes on his will. She turned and disappeared into the rain, carrying the last secret of a dying world. Behind her, thunder echoed, long, deep, final. The legend of the human hunter was just beginning. The planet shook beneath their feet. Lightning carved the sky into pieces, and the jungle below burned in streaks of gold and violet. Two figures stood at the heart of the storm, the last human and the alien queen, facing each other across a circle of fire. Rain hissed as it met the flames, filling the air with smoke and steam. Rex's armor was cracked and bleeding light from its seams. His breathing was harsh but steady. The queen's armor glowed faintly, cracked in places from their last fight. Her eyes, once proud and cruel, now burned with something different. Respect. They had hunted each other across continents. Now the final hunt had come. Rex wiped blood from his jaw with the back of his glove. You could have sent your army again, he said. Why come yourself? The queen tilted her head, her voice echoing through the rain. Because the hunt must end where it began, between hunters. He smiled faintly. Then, let's finish it. She moved first, fast, too fast. Her claws struck the ground where he had been a moment before. Rex rolled, fired his weapon. 3 bursts of plasma split the air, 2 hitting, 1 deflected. The shockwave flung them both back, mud and ash spraying in all directions. The Queen stood, laughing softly. "Still holding back, human?" Rex reloaded. "If I wasn't, you'd already be dead." She lunged again, and the ground cracked. This time, he met her head on. Their blades clashed, steel against alien alloy, sparks flying like fireworks. Each strike came faster, harder, closer to lethal. The storm screamed around them. Rex ducked under a tail swipe, grabbed it, and pulled, slamming the Queen into a rock. But before he could press the advantage, she twisted, wrapped her tail around his leg, and threw him across the clearing. He hit the ground hard. Bones screamed, vision blurred. Still, he rose. The Queen approached slowly, her breath visible in the cold rain. "You fight as though your death means nothing," she said. Rex looked at her. "It doesn't. Not if it changes something." She hesitated, for the first time. What could one human change? He stepped closer, rain dripping off his visor. "Everything." And he charged. Up in orbit, the Zha'kari ship watched in silence. Carrick stood at the viewing window, trembling, her fists pressed to the glass. She had returned to the Queen's ship, not as a soldier, but as a witness. On the screen before her, the sensors flickered with impossible readings, bursts of energy, heat signatures overlapping, the planet itself pulsing as if alive. "He's still fighting," she whispered. The others watched too, speechless. No one had ever seen combat like this. The Queen was their god. The human was supposed to be a fossil. Yet neither fell. Back on the ground, Rex's helmet cracked open. He tore it off, letting the rain wash over his face. His eyes burned, reflecting firelight and lightning. The Queen slowed, panting, her movements heavier now. Her armor had lost its glow, her strength fading. "You can stop," he said quietly. "You've proven your strength." She shook her head. "This is not about strength anymore." Her voice trembled with something almost human, emotion. "This is about understanding." Rex frowned. "Understanding what?" "What makes your kind fight long after logic is gone?" Rex stepped closer, their blades still between them. "Because when everything's gone," he said softly, "when no one comes to save you, all you have left is the will to stand." For a heartbeat, the storm paused. The wind died. The thunder went silent. The Queen stared at him, breathing hard. And then she lowered her weapon. "You are an impossible creature," she whispered. Rex didn't move. His blade stayed up, steady. "Then don't make me prove it again." The Queen's gaze softened, glowing faintly with gold light. "You would have made a great Zha'kari," she said. "And you," he replied, "would have made a decent human." She laughed, a low, tired sound, and dropped to one knee. The storm began to fade. But then a sound split the silence, a deep, mechanical hum. The sky above them lit up with red light. Both looked up. The orbital ship, the one Carix was on, had begun to move. "No," the Queen whispered. "They're activating the urge." "Purge?" Rex asked. She looked at him, horror in her eyes.
They think I've fallen. They mean to destroy everything. You, me, the planet.
Her wristband flashed. A countdown, fast and merciless. Rex grabbed her arm. How much time? 10 minutes. He swore under his breath. Can it be stopped?
Only from the command core, she said. Up there.
He turned toward the cliffs. His ship, the wreck he had lived in for years, still had one working engine, enough for one final ascent. He looked at her. You can fly? The Queen nodded once.
For now. Then let's finish this where it started.
They moved fast, faster than the storm. Through the fire and wreckage, through the trees, through the valley of bones. Rex climbed into his broken craft, sparks flying as he forced the engines online. The Queen leapt onto the side, gripping the hull. Hold tight, he said. The ship roared to life, shaking violently as it rose into the burning sky. Flames trailed behind it. Lightning flashed around them. Below, the jungle disappeared beneath clouds. Above, the massive Zha'kari vessel loomed like a god of metal. They broke through the storm and saw it. Endless black steel, lights glowing red, weapons charging. Rex's ship jolted, systems screamed. 2 minutes, the Queen shouted. Rex gritted his teeth, pushing the thrusters harder. We're not dying here. They slammed into the side of the ship, metal tearing open under the impact. The craft broke apart, but they leapt clear, landing inside the docking bay. Sirens blared, soldiers turned, weapons raised, but froze. No one expected her to be alive. The Queen rose to full height, her voice echoing like thunder. Stand down. The soldiers dropped to one knee instantly. Rex looked around. Hundreds of them, frozen in fear and awe. The Queen turned to him. The core is below the command bridge. He nodded. Then we move. Together, human and alien cut through the ship's heart. Corridors of smoke, metal, and fire. Everywhere they went, soldiers tarred. Some attacked, others simply watched. No one could understand what they were seeing. The Queen fighting with a human. Finally, they reached the command chamber. The countdown blared. 001-47. The Queen tore open the terminal. It's locked. Rex stepped forward, his hands already moving across alien keys. Not for long. The Queen blinked. You can read our code? He smirked. I've had a lot of time down there. The timer hit 00:21. He slammed his fist on the panel. Lights flickered. Then, silence. The screen went black. The purge stopped. He exhaled slowly. That's it. But before he could finish, alarms screamed again. Louder, deeper. The ship shuddered violently. What now? He growled. The Queen looked at the display. Her eyes widened. Self-destruct. It's been triggered remotely. Rex's jaw tightened. How long? Less than 1 minute. He looked at her, at the storm outside, at the galaxy beyond the glass. And he smiled, tired but fearless. Then let's make that minute count. The Queen stared at him. You mean to... He nodded. If this ship burns, it won't be for nothing. He reached for the controls, his fingers glowing faintly with alien energy, the interface merging with his blood. What are you doing? She demanded. Giving them something to remember. He pressed the final command. The ship lurched upward, engines flaring to life, pushing toward the star above. Carix, watching from a shuttle far below, saw the vessel rise like a comet. The Queen's voice came through one last transmission. Tell them.
The human wasn't prey. He was the storm.
And then, light. A blinding flash tore across the sky. The Zha'kari flagship was gone. Only fire remained, burning across the clouds. Currix whispered, tears falling freely. A hunter like that deserves to live forever. The galaxy watched, and the legend of the last hum, and the one who made even an alien queen bow in awe, was born. But far beyond that dying planet, among the stars, a faint signal pulsed again, steady, human, alive. The hunt was not over. Stars shimmered across a field of endless darkness, cold and silent, until one of them blinked. Not twinkled, blinked. Once, twice, then pulsed with rhythm. A message, a heartbeat. Far beyond the wreckage of the Zha'kari flagship, a lonely signal whispered through space, faint but alive. Origin, unknown. Source, human. Currix stood inside a Zha'kari recovery vessel, her gaze fixed on the dark screen before her. The transmission had been running for hours, weak, broken, full of static, but she couldn't stop watching it. At first she thought it was nothing, background noise. But then she heard it. A voice, distorted, distant, but human. If you can hear this, then the fire didn't take me. Her breath caught. This isn't over. The hunt never ends. It just changes shape. She felt her chest tighten. Her hands shook. It was him. Rex. Alive. She leaned closer. Human, where are you? The signal flickered again. No coordinates, no location, only his voice. I'm where the light went dark, following what's left of the Queen. The Queen? Currix stepped back in disbelief. The Queen's ship had been vaporized. She saw it with her own eyes. The blast had torn through orbit, erased every trace. There was no chance. And yet, the human's message kept repeating, faint but steady. Light years away, inside the wreckage of what used to be the Zha'kari flagship, something moved. The hull was torn open, molten metal floating in the vacuum, systems offline. But in the center of the chaos, a stasis pod glowed faintly blue. Inside it, the Queen, barely alive. Her breathing was shallow, her once golden eyes dimmed to a soft gray. She didn't know how much time had passed since the explosion. She only knew one thing. The human had saved her. Just before the detonation, he had forced her into the escape pod, locking her in while he stayed behind. She had screamed, "Ahmed," but he never looked back. He only said one thing before the blast. One of us has to tell the story. And then the light consumed everything. Now, adrift among dead stars, the Queen woke to the soft hum of the stasis system and a familiar sound. Tapping. A figure floated outside the glass, illuminated by the faint blue glow of the pod. His armor was melted, his face shadowed beneath the cracked visor. The human, alive. He broke the seal and pulled her out, air rushing into the shattered chamber. She coughed, gasping, then stared at him in disbelief. "You..." Rex smiled faintly, his voice weak. "You owe me one." "How?" she whispered. "The ship." "Didn't take me with it," he said. "Not all of me, anyway." He drifted beside her, pointing toward the glowing fragments of what remained of the reactor. "The blast
tore open a pocket between space folds. I rode the shockwave out.
She frowned, still dazed.
You rode an explosion.
He smirked. It's not my best plan. Despite the pain in her body, she laughed quietly, something she hadn't done in years. But the moment faded as a light flickered across the dark. A scanning beam. A Zha'kari patrol ship.
They're looking for survivors, she said.
Rex shook his head. No, they're hunting them. The beam swept closer. The Queen's armor shimmered faintly in response to the scan. Rex saw it and cursed softly. They'll detect you. He grabbed her hand, warm, alien, trembling. Follow me. They kicked off from the wreck, gliding toward the dark side of a nearby moon. Behind them, the patrol beam sliced through the debris, scanning every fragment. For a long moment, they were silent, drifting through the void, only the sound of their breath filling the comms. Finally, she said softly, "You saved me, human." "Why?" Rex's voice was quiet. "Because I don't want to win by being alone." The Queen's eyes softened. "You speak like you still believe in mercy." He looked at the stars. "No, I believe in purpose." On the Zha'kari homeworld, chaos had begun. Without the Queen, the Empire fractured. The High Council fought for control, and warlords claimed territories. Carix, once a loyal huntress, now commanded a resistance, small, hidden, but determined. Her ship's scanners still searched for that faint human signal every day. And one day, it came back, stronger. "Carix, this is Rex. The Queen's alive. We're coming home." The words echoed across the ship like a thunderclap. She froze, her eyes wide. "Alive? Impossible." But the signal was clear, and for the first time in years, she smiled. "Then the story isn't over," she whispered. Far from any star, in the cold shadows of a dying system, Rex and the Queen drifted inside a stolen cruiser. Its engines were weak, its hull cracked, but it flew. The Queen leaned against the console, her energy fading. "If we return, they'll kill us both." Rex looked at her calmly. "Then we don't return as enemies." She frowned. "You think you can change them?" He stared out at the endless dark. "No, but maybe we can remind them what they used to be." The Queen studied him for a moment. "You speak like a king." He shook his head. "No kings, just survivors." They sat in silence as the ship drifted toward the faint blue glow of the Zha'kari home star. For a while, it almost felt peaceful. Then the alarms blared. "Interceptors!" Rex muttered. On the scanner, dozens of red dots closing fast. The Queen's face hardened. "They found us." He grinned faintly. "Good. I was worried they forgot me." The first volley hit. The cruiser shook violently. Sparks erupted from the controls. "Hold the ship steady," he shouted. "For how long?" "Long enough to make them regret it." He powered up the cannons, his hands moving faster than thought. Plasma bolts ripped through space, tearing one enemy apart. Another swerved. The Queen seized control of the auxiliary guns, firing with deadly precision. They fought like two storms colliding, human fury and alien grace. For every ship that fell, two more appeared. The Queen's armor cracked. Blood, silver and bright, flowed from a wound near her ribs. "Rex, I see it." He rerouted power to shields. "Hang on." They dove into the shadow of a gas giant. Lightning filled the clouds below, endless and violent. The enemy ships followed. Rex grinned.
You ever ride through a storm this big?
The Queen looked at him, half smiling.
Not yet.
They plunged into the clouds. Electric arcs danced across the hull, systems failing one by one. Through the chaos, Rex turned to her.
If we don't make it, we will,
she interrupted firmly.
How can you be so sure?
Her eyes glowed faintly again. Because the galaxy doesn't end with fear. It ends with belief. The ship burst through the other side of the storm, flames trailing from its engines. But they were alive. The pursuers were gone. For now. Rex leaned back, exhausted. The Queen looked at him for a long moment before saying softly, "You are the reason legends exist." He chuckled weakly. Legends die too.
Perhaps,
she said, but not before they change the world. Outside, the stars stretched ahead, endless, waiting, alive. And somewhere, deep within the ship, the navigation system flickered with new coordinates. A voice, faint, artificial, human-made, spoke through the static. Home world detected. Signal match. Earth. Rex froze. The Queen looked at him. Your world. It still exists? He stared at the blinking light, disbelief and hope colliding in his chest. Maybe not as we left it, but maybe enough to start again. She smiled faintly. Then let's go see what your kind built from the ashes. Rex nodded slowly, eyes hardening with purpose. Yeah, he said. Let's go home. But behind them, in the darkness of space, something watched. A vast machine, silent and ancient. Zha'kari, but older, stranger. Its eyes opened, glowing red. And somewhere deep inside that machine, a recording played, Rex's own voice, captured from the battle before the explosion. If they come for me again, tell them I'm done running. The machine stirred, and in a voice older than both human and Zha'kari, it whispered back into the void. Then run no more, Hunter. We are coming for you. The hunt was no longer between species. Now, the galaxy itself had joined the game.